Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Heads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Heads Shaun and Head Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Heads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the
Hell no, to the no, hell to the no.
Oh, I was cut off. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. What? The computer didn't want me to talk. How the hell am I supposed to fix that? It has its mind of its own.
I thought you weren't going to let BZ have a remote operation to that keyboard for just that purpose.
You can't trust the lad.
Well, that's what he said. Hell no.
You cannot trust the lad no matter what. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is Wednesday, the 8th of December in 2017. I am Sackhead Shaun, your host. Off to my left is the amazing Sackhead Clint. Off to my right is Santa Claus, live and in studio as we speak. We shall say no more. You can get into the chat room, shrmedia.com. Click Listen Live and chat if you want to join that conversation. BZ is moderating and watching the chat room. So if you have something you want to add to the show, put it in there and he'll ignore it.
I've had that said to me before. I have actually had that said to me before.
Yeah. Put it in me and I'll ignore it.
I'll ignore it. It's just another day at the factory in the salt mines. No problem. Nothing to see. Move on.
I was talking about married life, but
I guess this is going to start the show off. I'm just going to get my notepad out now.
Sackhead Clint, welcome back.
This is going to be one of those shows where I'm feeling I have to document and date and time certain comments, and that way
you are part owner. Yes, and BZ is practically a proxy owner, and therefore you guys can't be victims, so fuck off.
I mean, we can be. Just depends on from who.
Right.
Okay,
right.
As long as we're all clear on that.
Yeah, we're all clear on that. So yesterday was Pearl Harbor Day.
Yesterday was, in fact, Pearl Harbor Day.
When the Japanese
Did he just say Jappers?
I said Japanese. Yeah. No, I did.
Jappers.
I did. But then I caught myself and I finished it with knees. A lot of time around my grandfather, who was a Pearl Harbor survivor and hated the Japanese people.
Okay.
You okay, Shaun?
No. Listen, Shaun, 3 hours from now, 3 hours from now, you're going to think about that. Wherever you are, you're going to break out in laughter. Guaranteed. That's what's going to happen.
It's going to hurt. Oh, Lord.
Look, anytime we can laugh about Pearl Harbor Day, that's an amazing show, right?
Yeah.
You got to put it in perspective for you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
right.
So, in the most cowardly fashion, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor before there was a formal declaration of war because they couldn't type fast enough or see the keyboard. So I don't know what the holdup was.
Right.
But
proving once again,
what?
Historically, timing is everything.
The timing is everything. Historically, I'm saying I was hypothesizing, Sean. I don't know why the note was late for the declaration before it was delivered, before they dropped their bombs on the poor, unsuspecting Americans.
I think you're 100% right.
Thank you. You know what's great?
What? I want to know. What is great?
Do you know why they didn't drive to the islands and attack it?
No freeways?
Yeah, that too. But they tried, and that's the scary part. Then they figured out that they kept crashing into the ocean, and so they had to fly.
Okay. All right.
Roads were very straight. They'd roll their cars on the straightaway. There was some... What?
Are you saying that the roads go straight, but the cars go crazy?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. And they could... Look, okay, so hang on. What happened when they tried to drive the midget submarines? What happened? None of them survived. That's all I'm saying.
That was the first shot fired in World War II.
It was the USS
Ward fired on one of the midget subs. I know, you know that.
I do know that. And it hit and sunk the sub. Therefore, we actually had the first victory.
Hit it right in the conning tower.
If you know what I mean.
That's just south of the sphincter, isn't it? That's a euphemism. I got hit in the conning tower once. Okay, 3 times.
Got it right in the conning tower. Oh, God.
Folks, only on the Sackheads radio show.
Now, in 3 hours, you're going to remember that too.
Yeah.
You got hit right in the conning tower
I'm going to feel it
once.
right in the conning tower.
Only on our show can we think Pearl Harbor was funny.
We can make it funny. There's a difference.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Did you see there's a wreath behind you?
I do, and thank you very much for that.
I figured it's time to be
Oh,
festive.
did Franklin make that? Is it a wreath of Franklin?
Wait, weren't we just on Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
What
but,
happened? Go back
you
to the
guid
Haba.
started getting racist.
Did he say?
no.
He
Nobody
said
got ready-
Haba. Did you hear that?
Haba.
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 Go back to the Haba.
H-A-B-B-A.
H. H-A-B-B-A-H. Haba.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Did he say urethra, Franklin?
Yes.
I could have sworn that's what I thought he
It's a wreath
said,
of Franklin. It's a wreath of Franklin.
but I wasn't sure. By the way, in chat, we have Dave already, we have Mike already, and we have Mary Brockman already. So welcome to everybody.
Welcome,
in chat.
everyone in chat at shrmedia.com. Clint, back to you
I'm
for
sorry.
Pearl Harbor.
I listen to the show on weeks when I'm not here, and it is not this freaking hilarious. That's all I'm saying, folks.
I don't know if you'd watched the YouTube feed last
No,
week.
now that's funny, but I'm talking about the audio.
Okay.
You guys just aren't this inappropriate.
Well, I know. We actually talk about, like, news and
That's my
stuff like-
point. That's my point. That's my point. That's not what Sackheads does.
So Clint brings the ribaldry to...
Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
the dribbledry
Dribbledry.
to the Sackheads radio
He
show.
does,
when I was
Can someone get the phone?
he does dribble a little bit.
When I was younger, I didn't dribble like that.
Domino's Pizza, how can I help you?
Who is ringing right now?
I think it's some ambulance chasing hack. Should I answer?
Yes.
Hang on. I got
Yes, if it is.
Hi, thank you for calling the Sackheads radio show. You're live on the air. How can I help you?
God, I wish I had. I wish we were connected to that right now.
Oh, it's our ambulance chasing hack friend.
Oh.
Hey,
How are you, sir?
Well,
tell him Merry Christmas.
we can almost hear him.
BZ says Merry Christmas.
We can almost hear him.
He says, "Merry
we
Christmas
can hear
to
that.
you as
Yeah,
well."
I
Can
did.
you
That's
hear that?
right.
Yeah.
I did.
We
hear
could
a little
actually
bit of that.
pick
Yeah.
that up and hear that.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, are there any sirens going down the road, or do you not need help catching an ambulance right now, or? Bye. That was so awesome. He was so afraid. Yeah, that's why he had to
had to go.
hang up with us. Yeah,
That's right.
Oh,
I got an ambulance
we
to
need
chase.
we need the Doppler effect for that. And there he
Nice,
is right
nice.
after it.
yeah, and there he is. And
My favorite part is he was like, he'll never answer. He's not batshit crazy enough to answer. There he is, folks.
Yeah, yep.
There he
what's
is.
the worst that could happen?
What's the worst that could happen? Holy moly. Holy moly.
So Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. It's not even I can't even be solemn about it now.
Well, so, it's always one of those things that obviously
Do kids even study this in school?
I don't think to the extent that they should.
I don't either. Of course, I mean, I had a long talk with my kids
Right.
about, obviously, right? Showed them, pictures of, their great grandfather and all that stuff. But so, of course, my kids. And what's funny is who was it? Somebody, and I can't remember. We might have even talked about this last year. We talked about it off air. Somebody actually said one time, and I overheard it, about teaching kids about Pearl Harbor and 9/11 causes hatred.
Oh, yes. We talked about this last year.
For certain racial groups or whatever.
Yes.
And it actually, remember when the movie Pearl Harbor was made? Like the new love story, not like
Yes.
the actual real, like Tora Tora Tora, not
Yeah.
a real war movie. Where some Japanese people were actually upset because it made them look bad.
Right.
Hey, you fucking cowards, you attacked us.
Well,
without a declaration of war, surprise attack while we were saluting the flag.
And look, it's not like Pearl Harbor, the new Pearl Harbor movie was set in 2010.
Right.
It was set to the historical times that this shit actually happened.
Yes, and look, hang on a second. Yamamoto was a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Like the Allies, we wanted to kill him because he was a tactical genius. He figured out,
and American educated.
yeah. Look, which is why he was a genius.
Yes.
Is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Way to be a racist. He figured out
Gonna be one of those nights.
how to make a torpedo run shallow by adding the wooden fins on the back, so that they could be effective within the harbor.
Right.
Our first two series of torpedoes were crap.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I mean, look, the Japanese were very smart people. In World War II, they had kind of a warped view of Bushido and so forth. But but Yamamoto was a brilliant tactician, strategist, and so forth. And the attack was brilliantly planned. And the Americans had a series of errors that led to that attack, and not the least of which was the information from the Ward firing on a Japanese midget submarine not being taken as high as it should. Another was when the aircraft showed up on frickin' radar. I think it was a lieutenant. I don't know if it was a first lieutenant or a second lieutenant. Said, "Don't worry about it," because they were expecting a flight of B-17s in from California,
right?
Who, by the way, arrived in the middle of a fucking firefight,
and none of them were
unarmed and out of gas. Yep. The dig marks at Bellows Field, where one of them bellied in, is actually still out there in the field. Not the B-17, but the dig marks in the runway. So, look, I mean, we had ample warning. But here's the thing. There were some war games that were played, and I want to say it was a History Channel or a military channel. I don't remember which one did it, where there was some American generals on both sides, and one was the Japanese and one were the Americans, and they assumed that the Americans rallied because they rallied based upon the firing on the Ward and information that the fleet was out there, and they actually mocked it up. And what they found is that the U.S. Navy would have suffered greater loss because they would have the Japanese fleet was a bigger fleet, and what they would have been able to muster after the Pearl Harbor attack
probably would have been devastated in the water.
Would have been devastated and sunk in deep water.
Yeah.
Which means you couldn't salvage or get anything that you had. So it would have been a greater loss of life. So guys couldn't have jumped off and swam or anything like that. Interesting story and perspective on that. So these are things that are important for kids to learn. I was actually just thinking about this earlier today. When is the last, besides Saving Private Ryan, which was really about one soldier, when was the last truly fantastic pro-American World War II movie?
Wait, this year. Not Heartbreak Ridge, something Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge.
Lame.
Oh, I liked it.
A fucking conscientious objector who didn't want to shoot a gun. No, but I mean, besides some liberal fucking feel-good movie like that,
Jesus.
When's the last World War II movie that told a story, right? Like Battle of the Bulge,
right?
Or like The Flying Leathernecks,
yeah,
or 12 O'Clock High,
a very pro-American, happy, feel-good movie,
right? Run Silent,
about
Run Deep.
World War II, anyhow,
and particularly about the war in the Pacific,
right? That's the one that you miss, is the war in the Pacific,
because everybody hates Nazis, right?
Well,
you can make a World War II movie and make the Nazis look like a bunch of assholes, and nobody's going to think twice about it because they're white.
Well, and one of the
and they were assholes.
There's one of the things that has been done over the course of history has separated Germany from Nazis. That the Nazis were almost like a terrorist organization within Germany.
Right.
They've done an amazing job of separating themselves from that. You can't separate yourself from the Japanese when you're Japanese.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the Germans,
which by the way, the Germans are bullshit because of
right.
Right?
But Germany, for years, if you even muttered the word Nazi, you went to jail. Like, they destroy, and rightfully so. I understand why. But
it's not like it was a big shock.
Right. But one of the things that they did was able to separate that Nazi stigma. And the Cold War helped them, too, because they went from being the Nazis to victims of the Cold War overnight.
In East Germany.
But Germany in general, right? Because even West Germany was being separated from East Germany.
Right.
Families, all of that.
Well, that's because they're fucking assholes when they get their whole country. Look at Merkel. Look, I'm sorry. Look at World War I. Look at World War II. Germany, when they have their whole country, they're dicks. Am I wrong?
You guys aren't allowed to play with this all of this anymore.
Seriously.
You can only get a little bit at a time.
Seriously.
We'll go to the East and then the West first, and yeah.
Okay, show me where I'm wrong historically.
No.
Thank you.
How can I look at World War I? Really, I mean,
look, they have their whole country back, and now look. They're kind of dicks.
Kinda.
Right?
Not all of them.
Not all of them. But I'm talking in general.
Their
government. Their government.
Their government has a tendency.
Right?
Hey, but you know what? Merkel's losing the majority. It tells you. It's so funny. You start looking.
She's having a hell of a time trying to put together a
government. Yeah, she can't do it.
And funny enough, so is May.
So let's get back here for a second. So when was the last true, good World War II movie, pro-American? Where Hollywood thanks the military for their help and all this.
After Private Ryan?
Yeah, after Saving Private Ryan.
And even before. So
and I'm going to say except Saving Private Ryan, which really was about one soldier, right?
So
I'm talking about a World War II story.
What was the one that
like Patton.
Right. Well, so Clint Eastwood did his two movies from either side of the perspective.
Right, Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
But still same thing, right?
Yeah, it wasn't as pro-American as much as a story of individuals.
Right. So I'm talking about a true pro-American movie.
Now there have been pro-American military movies, but nothing about World War II in a long time.
Well, but I'll push this even further. Right? When was the last time you saw a good World War I movie?
Flyboys.
But I mean, recently.
Yeah,
Flyboys was pretty recent.
4 or 5 years,
right?
I think.
Yeah, Flyboys was pretty recent. But before that, I think it was the Snoopy special when he flew his doghouse and was shot down by the Red Baron, and then they had Christmas together.
This is going to tickle your innards. Dawn Patrol with Errol Flynn.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And when you saw that in theaters, was it as striking then as it is now?
Because you were what? You were what? 46, 47?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to hear something weird? Of course, you want to hear something weird. Howard Hughes, one of his first major movies was called Hell's Angels.
Yes.
And it was one of the first $1 million movies.
Mm-hmm.
It took
shot twice.
It took him over a year to shoot. People got killed in the movie, and I don't know if anybody's seen it. I saw it about 2 years ago.
He shot it twice, once in black and white and once in color.
It's incredibly shot. It's real. All of the aviation stuff is real. It was incredible what he did with that film. He was a nitpicker and he was a loon. Other than that, I mean, when he finally got done,
he was a loon.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to say Dunkirk, but again, that's not really that wasn't really a pro-American movie. I mean, it was well shot, particularly the flying scenes. It was shot with IMAX cameras with the true Spitfires.
Yes,
that was the only like I think 8 actual flying Spitfires. They actually pulled them out and flew the Spitfires. Now, they flew real Messerschmitts, but I think they were the Polish remake version of
Messerschmitt.
But it wasn't the remake. They were actually made at that time. Messerschmitt licensed
to Poland
them, to be able to manufacture it. But I think the ones there like fell apart half the time. I don't remember. What?
Are you saying the gas tank was made out of screen?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, because that's unverified.
The cockpit shots were all real.
Yeah.
Except some of the shots that were down the side of the aircraft. It wasn't a Spitfire because they didn't want to attach cameras and whatnot.
To the outside,
It was another... I can't remember the name of the aircraft.
It was like an F-14 or something. Looks very similar to that.
Right, it was a Tomcat.
You can tell by the swept wings and the variable sweep on it. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
But that was close. They figured it was close.
Why not, right?
Yeah, they just had to slow it down
that's a Grumman aircraft. Clearly it was a Tornado, right? It was something British.
But that's
it was
exactly
a tornado.
what would happen if Heads Shaun directed a movie. Like World War II, guys. All right, I'm going to need 2 F-14s. They used Osprey for evac.
Hang on a second.
Right?
I can name a World War II movie that had F-14s in it.
No.
Final countdown.
Oh, come on. Fuck you. Yeah, I couldn't get it out.
Okay, all right. You're going to go there?
So it's been done.
Wait. You're going to go there. Trivia. Who was the captain?
Wasn't a good dream. Oh, it was one of the big...
So you had Kirk Douglas was in that.
He was the captain.
Yep. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. He gets the treat.
Thank you.
Missed.
Yeah, you know what? I hit the microphone dead on. Like, I couldn't have done that any better.
No, you nailed it. Like, literally nailed it. The microphone.
Nailed
just
it.
Right.
It's all fucked up now.
Final countdown.
Yeah, that wasn't from that movie.
I wish.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it was.
That would be. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. You know, I can't find that movie anywhere. Like,
it was on Netflix not too long ago. Amazon or Netflix. I can't remember which one.
It wasn't. I've looked at Netflix.
So it might have been on Amazon.
So we need to make a pro-American World War II movie.
Dude, we need
and I think we should call it Hiroshima.
We could become members of the PGA.
The golf company?
No, the Producers Guild of America.
Oh, I was going to say I don't golf
either.
I actually, the older
what do you
I get,
think?
the more
Would that be
stupid
good? Like we call it Hiroshima, it'd be a comedy?
Dude. So, can you imagine this in this politically correct age?
That's
you
my
just brought up an
point.
amazing point.
And it
if
could
we
be
did
called
a
Hiroshima,
the comedy.
hyphen, the comedy. Right.
If we did like a slapstick Blazing Saddle style World War II video involving the attack of Hiroshima,
yes,
holy God, we'd be in prison.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Unless we made the Enola Gay get lost in a freaking fog bank and come back and like bomb our own country or something.
That's the only way we'd get
then
away with that.
Then we'd be critically acclaimed.
What?
We would be critically acclaimed.
I just picture Hiroshima burning and some Marine trying to light a cigarette off the side of one of the burning houses and just yeah. No, just if we did some sort of slapstick
there's no way we could.
Can you imagine?
And by the way, nuclear war is not funny.
Like McHale's Navy,
but we could make it funny.
Like McHale's Navy meets Hiroshima.
Yeah. Or like Super Troopers
meets Hiroshima.
Yeah, meets North Korea.
Can you imagine trying to do Hogan's Heroes today?
They think I'm Mexican.
Yeah, because Hogan's Heroes made fun of Germans.
It made fun of Nazis specifically.
So as long as you're making fun of Nazis or white people, you're okay. So I think you could make Hogan's Heroes today. You know what you couldn't make today?
All in the Family.
Bingo. You cannot make All in the Family today.
Oh, watchy.
Dude, you could if it was in total reverse.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, which I think is called the Tyler Perry Show.
And you knew who you
Right?
were then.
Dude, that was
Girls
such.
were girls and men
That was great.
were
Barney
men.
Miller. Could you imagine making Barney Miller today?
Do
Do you remember we had that one night where we just did like movie? We did Hill
Yes.
Street Blues.
Hill Street. Oh, such a great show. Hill Street.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, very much so. Hill Street Blues was great. Obviously, Barney Miller, Spencer for Hire was another great show.
The Rockford
dude,
Files.
The black dude
Rockford.
that was the author on Barney Miller, what was his book that he was writing? He was constantly writing that book.
And his name was Glass, was the last name of the actor who
Yeah,
plays
Ron
him.
Glass.
Ron Glass.
And he also went to, he was on Firefly.
Yes, he was
He was
on
the
Firefly.
priest on Firefly.
Oh, what was the name of
what
his
was
book?
the name of the book that he was
Oh!
always writing? Always writing.
Oh man, I don't know.
Blood on the Badge.
Yes.
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 By the way, have you seen that movie? Is it Chicago? The movie that's coming out about the cops that were so evil that they went and like hunted down and executed black people. That movie I think is coming out.
The one about Detroit.
Or Detroit?
Yeah, that's come and gone.
Is it?
Yeah.
That was a flash in the pan then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't get
Weird.
any sort of answer.
Good.
Like God. I'm stuck on Barney Miller right now. I hate to say it, but
Hey,
Levitt, Wojciechowicz.
great character actor, Abe Vigoda.
Abe Vigoda was amazing. Fish.
Fish.
Oh, and the Asian guy. Was it?
Oh yeah, with the guy that he always looks sad all
He
the
was
time.
so amazing on that
did.
show. What was his
He
name?
played Sulu later, right?
No.
All right, that
He's gonna
shit's
be-
not funny. That's not funny. Okay.
That's
Oh,
actually
he actually
funny.
died halfway through, I think, season 3 or 4, which is
Yeah.
why they had to replace him with Fish.
Nice.
How long can I play this for?
Cut it.
God, that's great.
Yeah, great television back. There were just so many great shows way back when. Barney Miller, I think, was one of my favorites. I still watch it all the time. It's on YouTube.
And Alf.
Alf was a great one too. Gordon Shumway. It's sad. It's sad that
Barney Miller is on YouTube?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think it's past its copyright point. And
Wow.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm not 100%, but there are full episodes on YouTube. I watch them all the time. It's just a classic show. I can remember growing up watching it with my dad. It was just amazing. And it never Hill Street.
And as the cars come out of the garage, they turn the corner.
Tell me when I have to
and
cut
they,
it.
They
They're all
skid a
fishtailing
little
it.
bit.
Tell me when I have to cut it.
Go. But here's the difference, and I think this is one of the reasons that makes Barney Miller
That's back when cops were good,
when people liked him.
right?
That was one of the things that made Barney Miller kind of like Cheers in the sense of they only filmed in one room the
Yes.
entire time.
Yes.
And all the different stories that went along with it and all one
Cheers,
room.
another great.
Cheers was another great one. I watch
Yep.
Cheers all the time. Another one that they filmed in one room.
Taxi.
Taxi was another great. Taxi was amazing. It was just funny how, and actually for the most part, All in the Family was really one room too. You
Yep.
occasionally
Who's
went to
the Boss?
kitchen. Who's the Boss was another one.
Who was the unnamed actor? She actually got creds for being in Barney Miller, and you never fucking saw her. And do you remember she was in the credits?
No,
Barbara Berry.
who was she?
She was the wife of Barney Miller. But she got credit in it.
But she was never on
She
camera.
But she was almost never.
I think 3
on
or 4
camera.
times was she on.
Yeah,
Wow.
If that.
I got
and
another.
she got creds.
I got another one room one that's good that you could never make today.
What?
Alice.
Alice absolutely could not make Alice today, and that was the one room in the
diner.
My God,
With Mel.
yeah. But you look at a lot of those shows. It was writing and the actors because the Jeffersons. all
Baba
over-
Black Sheep.
Baba Black
You
Sheep.
could never make that. Go, Let me hear it.
Nope.
Let me hear it. Harold
Oh, wait.
Boyington.
Oh, I had. Oh,
Ah, Boyington.
Boyington. Hello.
Anybody
you could
else?
never.
Anybody else besides me like Night Court?
No,
I
Night Court
love
was
Night Court.
amazing.
Love
Absolutely
Night Court.
amazing.
Night Court was some funny shite.
Yes.
If you go back and watch Night Court now, first and foremost, the things that they could joke about back then that you just can't do now, and people get all offended.
Yep.
John Larroquette's character, Dan Fielding, the stuff that he would say and do, the fact that he was cohorting with hookers all the time, like at one point I watched an episode not too long ago.
It was like he was in Congress.
Right, it's like he was a congressman from Detroit. I watched an episode and they had somebody had sent him a box of sex toys.
Yes.
And the whole time it was going off, the whole show, it would just like vibrate past the camera. And I'm like, you can't do that. And this was a primetime television show.
Yep.
And that was the running joke. Like, they never said what was in it, but they let you know. And then at one point, it's vibrating by the camera. It was brilliant.
Okay, my turn for a pop quiz.
All right.
What singer?
Pop quiz, hot shot.
What do you do? What singer did Harry, the judge, love?
Oh, Mel Torme.
Yes.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah,
I
Mel
finally
Torme.
remember the Japanese guy, though. Jack Sue.
Jack Sue.
He played Nick something or
Yeah,
other.
Nick Fuji.
I can't think
it was
of
Fujiyama.
Nick's
It was
name.
Japanese. Jack Sue. He died of cancer like 2 or 3 years into it. But
Now,
yeah, it was.
Here's the thing, and I bet you might not get it. The show was called Barney Miller. Who played Barney Miller?
Oh God, what was his name?
I don't remember.
Because in my world, Barney Miller wasn't the central guy. Almost everyone was more interesting than he was.
Right, and he played. So his role was like a setup man, right?
Yeah, he
would
the
come
straight-
in and set
he was the
everything up
straight
and
man
kind of
for
go out.
everybody else.
Yeah, I can't even think of his name too. It was it
I don't remember his name. I don't know.
I can't think of it. We're up against a break.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
The turkey
The
episode.
turkey drop.
The turkey
Oh my
drop.
God.
Yes.
It was like they mounted a counterattack. It's almost as if they were organized.
I didn't know turkeys couldn't fly.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
I'm so glad we got to all of our topics in this half
Hey,
hour.
we spent it was movie talk with the
So I'll tell you,
Sackheads.
look. As soon as we come back, I want to touch on two things real quick. Take maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we'll get into that topic. Sound good?
Hey, how could it not sound good? It's the
Sounds
Sackheads radio
amazing.
show. If I could just get Hold on, I'm working on it. Give me a minute now.
Hey, I'm working.
I
on
know.
it.
Come on.
I'm working here.
Come on.
I don't know what happened here. What happened here?
Come on.
Hey, we're working here.
You know what it is? Is I was having so much fun, I wasn't paying attention, and that's my bad, everybody. This is all.
Is it on the laptop? I thought it would be on the laptop, the big one.
No, it's on my laptop right here.
The big one's on your laptop?
Hal Linden. That was it. Dave wrote in chat. It was Hal Linden who played Barney Miller. I didn't remember that because he wasn't that big a deal to me. Isn't it on the? I think it's on the.
Sean, it's that one right there.
No, I got it.
No, it's that. It's not. It's that one.
No, I'm
Right there.
I hate all these.
Do that one.
A little left.
Left.
A little
Left.
left.
A little more left.
Too much. Oh, too far.
No, come back.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh, wait.
What,
Hold on.
what?
Wait, what was that?
What? Hold on. I'm getting to it. Leave me
Okay.
alone.
Did Kim Jong Un possess your body?
I don't know what happened.
What the hell are you
I
doing?
had all this ready to go.
What's going on?
I had it all ready to go.
Boing time.
This is not my fault.
Sackhead Shaun.
They told me they fixed it. This is not my fault.
My impression if Kim Jong Un ever meets Sean, gets him kidnapped and in prison in North Korea. Sackhead Shaun.
Oh, you guys all suck.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
It should be working.
That's a movie I want to make right
In the
there.
moon. Just one safety pin manufacturer.
Okay.
There it is.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe. right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? Man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
This is Jersey Joe, host of Reverb Common Sense, and you're listening to SHRmedia.com.
SHR Media Network. Find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
This is Jersey Joe, host of the Reverb Common Sense, and you're listening to SHRmedia.com.
And welcome back to the Sackheads.
Where's Jersey Joe been?
Jersey Joe is having a...
He wasn't on this week.
He's having interwebs issues.
Oh,
Bombast. Crap. Bombast is nailing it yet again.
Oh, crap.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. So
that sucketh
he's
terribly.
on his fourth modem.
What?
Yeah, number 4, I believe.
Okay, I thought we had problems.
Yeah. We do.
Our problems,
just on a different level.
Yeah, our problems were in terms of length, and we got put on ignore mode.
If anyone knows me, I have problems.
But
anyhow, onward and upward to bigger and better things. Let's get into some topics.
Yeah, so real briefly, because I know we have a lot to talk about tonight before we fucked around all of the first half of the half hour.
But it was fun.
It was great. I missed you guys. So look, the House of Representatives passed basically a reciprocity bill. Today, it passed today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Was the vote.
Yes.
Yep. Where it says if you have a concealed weapons permit in any state, it's good in every other state, and the fucking libtards in the states like California can't tell you otherwise. I think that's a direct quote if I was reading the text properly.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We should not need this law to have been passed.
We should not.
Well,
but here's why I'm glad it passed. First of all, and we've talked about it before on this show. 2A is a federal issue.
Yes.
Federal issue.
Yes.
The states should have zero purview over that.
Yes.
I'm all for states' rights, but I'm for states' rights when
it's not under the Constitution?
Correct, when the power is granted to the states or is reserved to the states, power that is not specifically granted to the federal government.
Right.
2A makes that a federal issue, not a state issue. And that's my 2 cents on that. The other thing I want to touch on real quick is all the congressional sex scandals. And you have Al Frankenweenie.
I get it. Touch on. I got it.
You see that? Did you see I did that?
I did.
And Frankenweenie?
Yeah,
did you see that? Did you see that?
I got
Let's just slip into that topic.
Yeah. Let's.
But we can only go quick, so let's just caress it for a moment and we'll move on.
Yeah, let's just be quick, and then I don't want to get so boring that we end up falling asleep. You know what I mean? What?
Because what do? We put narcolepsy to bed here.
We
do.
We put narcolepsy to sleep.
Look, real quick, we're going to nail this out real quick. We're going to have a sandwich, take a nap, we'll be good.
All right. Go ahead, bang it out real quick.
Yeah, look, I'm just gonna come at it real quick.
All right.
I'm just gonna.
Okay, good.
I'm just gonna shoot it out there for you guys.
Let's not get too deep into it, though.
Look, I don't want to beat around the bush.
Right.
I want to go right into it.
Go.
Okay. If you know what I mean.
Just man up and jump in.
Look, this is a stiff one. This is a hard one to talk about.
It is. It's difficult. You got it.
Yeah. What?
What?
Why are you turning red, Sean?
I was fine until you said stiff one. Couldn't do it. That good.
Do you think Congress actually makes money for the government by buying stock in like Viagra and Cialis?
Well, they would have to. It's like paying themselves at this point, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So you also have 6 Democratic senators coming out today and asking Al Franken to step down, all females.
The GOP's reversed itself on more, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because they really need the fucking vote.
Well, they need the vote, too.
And there's no proof.
Well, they need the vote, and I wonder if they know something that the rest of the world doesn't yet.
Which is possible, yeah, because otherwise they'd be distancing themselves.
Huge.
Yes.
And rightfully so.
Well, but here's what the Democrats are going to be doing. If Roy Moore goes in and they vote for Roy Moore, what they're doing right now is they at least have the foresight to look down the road. And the only reason that they kick Conyers to the curb, and the only reason that they're going to kick Franken to the curb, is they want to be able to come back and say, look, we got rid of our people.
Right.
You bad people didn't get rid of Roy Moore. You're evil.
Well, but
you didn't get rid of the Clintons.
But here's the difference.
Well, yeah.
And if you're the GOP, it's really simple. Look,
it's math.
Well, no. If you're the GOP, you come out and you say, look, Conyers' office had to pay this girl out, so that was that bad. Al Franken has 6 current accusations, and it happened within the last 10 years. So that's entirely different. Look at all of Hollywood. Look at all the right.
Look at Corey Feldman, right? The Santa Barbara SO finally today just, oh, shit, I guess we did have this tape where he named people.
We found this during the Michael Jackson investigation.
In 93, and you never fucking said anything or did anything with that info?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lawsuit going on right there.
Oh, yeah. It should be.
Absolutely
it fucking should be.
Absolutely. You have an actor who for years, Corey Feldman was, everyone thought he was a lunatic, right? He's coming out saying, hey, there's all these pedophiles in Hollywood, all this horrible things happen. My buddy Corey Haim committed suicide as a result. Like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
It messed him up personally.
Yep.
All of these different things. And now it's like, oh, well, yeah, we kind of did have that info, yeah.
Well, remember that the SO came out first and they said, well, no, we don't have any tape where he's actually naming names. And then somebody went back and looked and said, oh, shit.
Hey, boss. We do actually have that tape that he's naming names.
And we didn't do anything with it. It's just kind of investigator notes.
Right.
And now it's been turned over to the LAPD.
Yeah.
Which, good.
It needs
so
to
here's
be.
the thing. If you're talking about kids, then it's relevant. But here's the deal. And I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican, and send your hate mail to Clint at shrmedia.com. I don't fucking check it anyway, so go fuck yourself. Look, if somebody grabbed somebody's ass 12 years ago and you didn't freaking say anything back then, and now you want to come out because it's the in vogue thing to do, fucking give me a break.
Right.
And I'm sure, look, the women's groups are going to hate me, right? Oh, you're so insensitive. Look, a woman who is genuinely a victim of sexual harassment, nobody should be subjected to that. Okay, when they come to work, you should not come to work and be in an environment where you're uncomfortable. Your job depends on how you perform sexually or any of that. Okay, so I want to be very clear with what I'm talking about. But if you were somebody's secretary and 20 years ago they slapped you on the ass and said you had nice tits, and you don't work for that person anymore, and you've moved on with your life, and you didn't say anything back then, and now you're just coming out because you want a payday or because you're trying to take somebody down or whatever. I don't like, to me, that's ridiculous. I mean, if somebody, and I'm even going to say, I'm not going to say Al Franken because he's kind of a pig, and that's pretty recent. But let's say somebody like Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
he had that gal who said, oh, when he was making the movie Over the Top, he did X, Y, or Z.
1988 or whatever it was, 87.
Yeah. Are really? And you're just now coming out because all of these things are coming out?
And also, too, the other argument that I've heard recently, and it gives you food for thought, is how many of these actresses sent their friends to these directors and producers knowing what happened to them?
And look, and that guy's a scumbag.
Yeah.
Right? That dude is a complete fucking dirtbag.
Yes, absolutely.
100%. And look, I wouldn't be... If he raped these women, then fuck him. He needs to go to prison. Mm-hmm. Look, if it's one of those things where he's like, hey, I can get you a job, but I think you need to do this.
Quid pro quo.
And they were like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. Well... I mean, you made a choice.
It is quid pro quo, and I understand. I understand the civil part of that, and I understand the workplace part of that.
Yes, but if we're talking 20 years ago,
right,
it wasn't right. The guy's a fucking pig.
Right.
Okay, but you're just now coming out now that you're. I mean, come on. If he raped you, drugged you, something, absolutely.
Right.
But if you had to suck his dick one time to get a job, and now you have millions, and you made that choice. You fucking made that choice. You could have said no and gone back to waitressing.
If you could have walked out,
right,
and you chose not to,
that's on you.
And that's that's the argument that I heard too. Of like, hey, how many of these actresses and actors sent female friends to these guys? Hey, I can get you a part, but you just got to hang out with this guy for a little bit, and something happened. And now they're the same ones who are saying, "Oh, this is horrible. This is an atrocity." Well, wait a minute, asshole. You knew what was going to happen when you sent your friend in.
Exactly.
So. You're just as bad as he is.
Exactly. And again, the guy's a pig.
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
The guy's a scumbag.
And he needs to die.
But I wouldn't say that.
He's going to lose everything. Everything.
And he should, because it was built, the way he built it was fucked up. But
he's got 2 huge investigations on each damn coast.
But my point is this. Why the F did you why am I going to say that now? Why the fuck didn't you say something 20 years ago?
Right.
You know, why didn't you walk out and say, why didn't you walk out to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, no, you know what? I'm going to get famous, but I'm not going to do it your way. And I'm going to go be a whistleblower, and I'm going to go back to waitressing or cocktailing or whatever the fuck you were doing before.
And even more so. So
fame was more important than your dignity.
Listen.
Right?
The woman who works in the office that had happened 20 years ago, I have more sympathy for than I do an actress who did the same thing. Or like you said, casting couch or whatever, and then had notoriety immediately afterwards and could have went to the press with it all, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know their mindset. I can't say I've ever been a victim like that. I'm not going to argue that. But at some point, they knew or they felt victimized. Well, you had the ability to go in front of any television network in the world and say, this happened. Why did you wait this long?
Right. Oh, my career would have been done. Really? So how's this? Bank the $5 million you made on that last movie?
But it shouldn't matter about your career at that point, right? It should matter about
doing
the right
that's
thing.
going to be the argument.
Right. No,
right?
I understand
so
that.
let me ask you this. And I'm going to take so much heat for this. Let me ask you this.
Right.
If a woman knowingly engages in a sex act with somebody for the purposes of a job or monetary gain.
Go ahead.
How is that not prostitution?
Well, it's the film industry. It's art.
No. If she is engaging,
I don't have an answer.
So why are we not charging unless it's rape?
We're not going to charge him with prostitution.
Unless it's rape.
Clint.
No, hang on a second.
I understand what you're saying.
Let's look at the definition, right? Unless it's rape, you agreed to fuck him for financial gain.
Right.
Shaun, this is Clint pushing our buttons again, okay? Because that's what he does.
I know.
He does that.
He's looking for an answer that's not going to be had. And that's what it is.
But hang on.
All right, so...
BZ, what is the definition of prostitution?
Fucky.
For?
Money.
Yeah. Engaging in a sex act for financial compensation.
So, how are they not guilty of prostitution?
Because...
Wow.
Hang on, no! I make a really good fucking point, don't I?
Okay. Clint right now is not in keeping with God's great plan. Because Well, here's the other thing. Let me throw this out there and ask you.
No,
guys.
answer my fucking question. Don't be dodging it. You're not Hillary Clinton.
He's got the look.
Okay,
he's not letting us go.
If you're going to look under the 647 sections, okay.
Okay, what?
It is
specifically the B section.
So, well, the argument. So, I think the argument's going to be made is there was no guarantee of a movie until later. So,
bullshit.
You would have to
bullshit.
Be,
okay, that's the defense. But how is it? Let's look. We're not in the courtroom
so
right
you're,
here.
You're saying 100%. These girls went in and be like, "Hey, if you did X, Y, and Z, you're going to get a leading role." Then absolutely. Because it would still be through a funneling of money via the movie.
Right.
What were we taught in the
So
academy?
now we're talking about money laundering. Now we've moved into financial crimes as well. It's money laundering.
And it's sex trafficking.
And it's trafficking.
And it's sex trafficking.
Why
are the feds not involved? Because this shit happened over state lines. Look at BZ about to fucking spin. Where am I technically wrong?
Say, what were we told in the academy? There's the spirit of the law
and the letter
of the law.
Yep. Look, I'm sorry. I think
this guy's going for the letter of the law.
I think
is Vincent going to take down Hollywood?
Yes. Look, I think the spirit.
This guy is a hard ass.
Oh yeah, he is.
Hang on a second. I think the spirit of the law matches too. These broads sped their legs for financial gain, for millions of dollars in movie parts. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing, those that were not raped, those that made the conscious choice to do it, and I think it absolutely matches in the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Where am I wrong? They made a conscious choice. If he says, you do X, Y, or Z, and I guarantee you a part in this movie, and here's what your paycheck is going to be.
Okay.
But only if you do this, and they make that choice.
You are now the L.A. District Attorney. How are you going to spend your money?
No. That's what I mean. You have to back up. He already said you have to remove the legal argument.
Remove that argument for what's going to happen in court. But where am I wrong on its face?
We're stipulating facts that money was in fact promised in exchange for a sexual act.
Correct.
And that we're assuming and stipulating the fact that it has nothing to do with prosecution as much as just meeting the criteria and the individual prongs to amount to 640.
Prongs.
Hey,
get
see
it?
What I did there? To amount to 647B under the California Penal Code. Now, I think we can all agree at this point that his points based on this argument that he is presenting are accurate.
We just got a message from a fan.
Okay.
And I want to shout out to our service members and former service members on the East Coast. Love you guys. Thank you very much for listening. D, I love you, brother. Haven't talked to you in a little while. But here's what it says, quote, "You guys ranting about the sexual harassment shit is great. You have finally said 10 things that I was saying to friends of mine the last few days. I'll take a shot in the mouth for $10 million. Look.
Well, if you get down to that now, geez, okay.
Look, those are our fans and we love them, right? So, go ahead, BZ. Sorry, where am I wrong? They're all fucking whores.
Okay, technically? Okay.
No, not just technically.
Technically, I will cede that to you.
I see what you did
Get
there.
it?
Cede.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there. Shaun has removed his headset.
Wait. Could you say that Clint is beating this to death?
I would say that it was extremely beat to death.
Look, no. Only as far as until I got my fucking way. Well, now I'm ready to let it go.
Right, but so
because he forced us into agreement.
I didn't force you into agreement. My logic is infallible.
But the argument can be made the other way around. Right?
Go.
If you have a girlfriend and you're a male, and she's like, "Hey, if you do this, or we go out to dinner tonight, I'll make it worth your while."
Yes.
Then you become the prostitute.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're all clear on that.
Yes, if there's monetary gain.
What happens all of a sudden?
If your wife says, you take me out to a steak dinner and I'll fuck you, but if you don't, then sorry, you're going to have to use your hand.
And then what happens when
SAC
PD comes?
Letter of the law, spirit of the law.
Exactly.
Sackheads, Clint, open the door.
God.
So look, but here's the difference, and here's the fallacy in your argument. Here's the phallus in your argument.
Get it? Fallacy. I see what you did there.
Look, here's the difference. The difference is this. You're in a relationship with somebody. Harvey the pervert was not in a relationship with any of these broads who were seeking a job or monetary gain. That's the difference.
Yeah, but if you're going to actual letter of the law, then nowhere.
But I went spirit of the law too, and I said I think they're prostitutes based on spirit of the law too, because it's different.
But you hammered the letter part away, and that part.
I used the letter part to get to the spirit part, but I still argued spirit as well.
Oh man!
So the difference is relationship.
So
would be my argument to that.
So if you're in a relationship, it's completely fine for either partner.
For spirit of the law, letter of the law, she's a whore.
Oh, you are,
or I am.
Right.
Either way, right?
Okay, as long
either
as
way,
we're all clear.
Yeah, letter of the law, either way. I'm a whore, she's a whore, whatever. But letter of the law, not so much. Or spirit of the law.
So would you say a marriage license now trumps 647B? Like at that point,
yes, because it's state sponsored, right?
Right.
It'd be no different than Nevada.
Well, wait, can't you say that's a business relationship?
Oh God, no! This is a bad road to go down. This is a bad road.
Yes, because it's contractual,
yes,
right?
Yes, it is, and it's sanctioned by the state.
It's sanctioned by the state.
You have to be approved. You get a license.
Yes, you do, and in order to terminate that partnership, you have to go through legal
you have to
proceedings.
go through court. Yes, exactly.
Right?
Just like if you wanted to dissolve a business,
right?
Okay, now there I agree with you. Okay, you got me on this one. Dan Butcher's in chat. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Danny. Oh, perfect time for him to show
Oh my
up.
God! You know what? We didn't even get to SCOTUS.
How did we do this? I just wanted. I have to know. I have to know.
What?
Let me ask this question without answering.
Who are you asking?
You.
Oh.
When you concocted this argument in your head at some point in this
See what
week,
he did there?
Wait, stop.
Yes.
Just stop. Everyone stop.
Go.
Dad's talking.
Jesus.
Daddy's talking. Relax. When you concocted this argument...
Your little sausage finger pointing at me is hilarious.
When you concocted this argument in your head, this week, because it's been over the last 5 or 6 days,
right?
Where were you and what were you doing? Because I know you. This is an epiphany moment where the basis of your argument was stemmed from. I've had these conversations with you before, and I know that it wasn't like anything. There was something in particular where you were either like eating dinner and you were like, oh shit, they're all whores. Right? Something like in front of a whole room full of people. And they're like, what are you talking about, Clint? And you're like, no, all of them. All of them are whores. Like,
so I can tell you, because that story is damn near true, almost just like that. I was with a group of guys, and I was actually reading a news story on my smartphone, and I was reading it, and I literally just blurted out something exactly like that. Are you fucking kidding me? They're all fucking whores. And I had 3 guys look at me and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, all those fucking bitches in Hollywood that spread their legs to get a fucking part are all fucking whores. Unless they were raped and duct taped and shit. I fucking went off on a whole rant. It was an entire sackhead rant. You've heard them on this show before. It was one of those moments.
BZ, this is why I asked that question. Because I've seen him in these moments before.
Wait, he just admitted to it.
This is what he does.
To it.
Yes.
You'll be in the middle, and this is like time out with Clint. You'll be in the
How
middle
many
of
times have we been at coffee?
Lunch?
Yes.
Something where we'll be like talking about something totally random, and then something will pop up, and he'll be like, well, son of a bitch, they're all communists, and here's why.
Yes.
And I'll be like, that's great. Can I order my steak? Be like, oh, hold on. She's a communist too. We're not done. And he just goes.
Yes.
And you have to sit there and take it.
And then at the end, every time I looked at Sean and I'd be like, fucking remind me of this because we're talking about it on the show. Although now I don't have Sean to go to coffee with on a regular basis, so I have to write a note to myself.
Dear self.
Dan
said, were you throwing rocks at hookers when you thought about this?
No, but what I did is I actually threw a rock at the TV at the next fucking actress I saw.
Jesus.
Wow. That's serious.
Oh,
to
my
damage
God.
your TV.
How does this... Oh, boy. This is not going to go well. We just lost all 8 female listeners. Actually, probably half.
That's not true, because if they're female and they listen to us, they know exactly what this show's about.
Because I don't. So I'm glad they got to figure it out. I'm so glad at some point. So we'll throw out the rest of this segment because Clint had to somehow prove this point.
We'll pick it up next. We got to talk about SCOTUS.
I do want to thank BZ for getting us a new mouse pad for the studio. It says SHR Media, keep the mouse in the house.
Well,
which
the
I
other
think
one was leaking its silicone, for God's sake.
It was.
It was getting
I want to say thank you to BZ.
Sean had a leaky mouse all over BZ's sticky hands is basically what I took from that whole conversation.
This little comment of keep the mouse in the house actually would have done Hollywood well.
Yes.
Because if they could have just done that.
I knew this was coming.
And Democrats, we wouldn't have to be having this conversation.
Yes.
It's true.
That's very, very true.
Yes.
Oh, this was just painful. I'm not going to lie. That was painful. It was funny and painful all at the same time.
It was amazing. Are you kidding me?
I hurt my side because I get nothing. I had nothing. I had nothing.
No?
Which doesn't happen often.
Old Harvey had allegedly, I think, I read a story. He had a camera in his house, like one specific camera, and it had a label on it. And this may or may not be the label that was on said camera. I can't talk about how we got that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of cameras, I know we got to go in 2 minutes. Speaking of cameras, did you guys happen to see the story about people in Airbnb homes finding fucking cameras in the damn bedrooms?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fire alarms and USB ports and light sockets and all these other things, covert USB cameras.
So
I read that story and I got so many awesome ideas.
Oh, well.
Wait, what?
Guess what?
You read that story praying it wasn't your house.
It goes one further. Did you know that you can...
No, my wife put it up there.
You can get an app through your phone which will help to determine if there are cameras active in your home, work, etc. So, go to your app store, whatever the hell that happens to be.
Do some research.
And put, like, hidden camera app. For God's sakes, I found almost 10 apps that sell they'll find either video or cameras.
And a lot of them are Wi-Fi based. They run off a battery and they're Wi-Fi based to a computer in the house. So you start looking at the different Wi-Fi signals, and that's what it picks up on. Folks, we are up against a break right here on the Sackheads Radio Show. When we come back, we're actually going to talk politics for once.
We're going to talk SCOTUS first.
Yeah, we're going to get into SCOTUS and then Jerusalem and then NOCO.
What's the name of the segment? SCOTUS. What's it?
What's it?
Travel ban for gay baker?
Yes.
Or did I mix some stories up?
No, I think
you're right.
It's a gay travel ban for a baker.
For the baker, okay.
Right.
For a guy named Baker.
We'll be right back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Stick around.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network. Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly and Pleasant Blind. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell TDO on talk.com.
exactly right.
Shaun on the SHR.
The SH.
Welcome back to the Sack Kids Radio Show live on the SHR.
There we
Network.
go.
There we go.
Much better.
Sackheads Radio Show for rectal use only.
Yes.
Wrecked him. Hell, it killed him.
Damn near
killed him.
So I got a couple text messages from the last segment. I can't read all of them out loud.
Oh, come on. It's Sackheads. It's late night.
I will respond to a few of them. I am too stoned for this.
Thank you, Mom.
and another one, and I won't say the person's name, but their wife responded, "What the fuck did I just listen to?"
And that must have been your mom.
Yeah. I didn't know my mother had a wife. Okay, you learn new things every day. Oh, God. Moving right along. Dude, we got to move along because I will relive that whole segment again if I had to right now.
Oh, no, we're playing this after we go off the air. We're playing that.
SCOTUS.
BZ, you're up.
Monday, SCOTUS had a very interesting ruling. You know, all these various district courts, these sub-courts, have killed Donald Trump's travel ban, or his travel stay. I call it a travel stay. People on the left call it a travel
specifically
ban.
in Hawaii and California, right?
Yeah, specifically. And Washington as well.
All on the left coast and under the Ninth Circuit. Weird.
Yeah, I don't get that part. I don't get it. But anyway, the Supreme Court handed Trump a victory. And they said, you know what? We're going to enforce the entire travel ban. And of all things, this is the wackalini stuff about it. It was a 7-2. Who were the dissenters? I'll throw it out to you guys.
Let's see. I'm going to go on the dissenters.
I know you know one, easy.
Let's see. Ruth.
Yeah, Ruthie.
She was probably the primary Sotomayor.
Exactly.
Kagan.
Kagan went for it. Everyone else went for it.
There was two.
The only two dissenters were Ruth Bader Ginsburg
and Sonia Sotomayor.
And Sotomayor. And that's it.
It was 7-2?
It was a 7-2.
That better send a message to the lower courts.
Well, it has to now, right?
I don't think it will.
No, I think it will.
It will. The Ninth Circuit is going to be where it goes to.
Yeah, but if you go to the Ninth, if you're the Ninth Circuit Court right now, and you just had a 7-2, that meant you have so many liberals on the court who are siding against you. You don't want that record.
I don't think they care. They already know, and I wouldn't be surprised in parties that they crow about being the most overturned appellate court in the entire nation. I wouldn't be surprised if they're proud of that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
So it's just really interesting to see that. Look, 7-2 that's like a slam dunk with SCOTUS, right? When was the last time something so controversial and major? Right, I'm not talking about a 7-2 on something that never makes the news because people forget SCOTUS hears cases all the time.
Right.
You know, it's not
like we're not talking like 7-2 on Roe v. Wade or something insignificant, right? We're talking What?
I'm talking like 7-2, like insurance company against guy A or guy A against insurance company. We're talking about a travel ban put forth on the president.
Yes.
That specifically says these people from these countries can't enter without extreme vetting. It's not saying they can't enter. They just need to be extremely vetted first.
Right.
But it's a major deal. It is a major case. National news, national headlines, and the vast majority of this country, including myself, thought it would split right down party lines.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember, though, it's not ended here. The 9th and the 4th are up for debate. They're scheduled for debate because it got thrown back to them. Basically, Their rulings were overturned, so this is not a final determination yet.
Because
this is temporary.
It hasn't even reached them. So what's striking to me, and I may be misunderstanding this, which is possible, but Supreme Court came out with this ruling kind of like on their own, right?
They were petitioned,
right? But the case didn't go to them, right? This case didn't go up through and now they've made a ruling on the final. The final ruling. This was a petition. It's like a 1-page ruling that doesn't happen very often. I don't hear of that happening very often.
Right.
And so the reason I think it's a big deal is because
it's a very big deal.
I think the Supreme Court is sending. It knows that it's coming up through these appellate courts, and the Supreme Court's telling them, if you rule the wrong way on this, you are going to be overturned.
To me, this was a clear broadcast.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a signal sent in the clear.
So will
to
the
these
ninth,
appellate courts.
will the 9th and 4th, will they listen to that signal, or will they make the Supreme Court overturn it?
Well, the other thing is,
but how can you make this? So here's the thing I don't understand, and I understand it, but I don't like it. This is a better way of putting it. When you have a specific case.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the travel ban. It goes all the way up to the highest court in the land because the lower courts, it's been overturned through the lower courts, the appellate court, etc. It gets appealed all the way up to the highest court in the land.
Mm-hmm.
Why, after that decision is made by the highest court in the land, does any court even have the right to revisit it?
They don't. They shouldn't. But this case didn't make its way there, right? There was a petition from the Trump administration, I think, to say, hey.
What they were saying is that it was wrong to stay this prior to its final hearing in both of these circuit courts. But the other interesting thing about this ruling is that the Supreme Court also made what I consider to be a very clear statement to these courts in terms of, by the way, we expect your returns from hearing these cases to be back here in June.
Well,
yes.
Within this term.
Well,
as in, don't fuck around with this.
Essentially what the Supreme Court said is, I don't ever want to hear about this again. You have a 7-2 ruling. That's pretty definitive.
Well, especially with this.
What can the Supreme Court do if they're not back by June? Because the 9th Circuit is going to be like, fuck you.
On their own little, wouldn't you love to be a fly in the wall to some, I don't know if SCOTUS folks have parties or anything, but wouldn't you like to listen to some of the Supreme Court jurists when they're talking honest to God off the cuff about the 9th?
I would.
I would love
absolutely
to hear that. I would love to hear it. As in, these cockbites don't have any idea about what they're doing, and then they're going to make us do their damn job.
I think they know that the 9th knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I really do. I think the 9th knows exactly what they're doing. They make these rules on purpose. And I think the Supreme Court knows that. I don't think the 9th makes these rulings out of ignorance.
Well,
I think they know full well, and they're trying to bend and
throwing
interpret.
crap on the wall to see what sticks.
Yes,
right. I agree.
And if it sticks, they go woohoo.
And this is where I think there needs to be some sort of check and balance system within the lower courts, where if you're a judge and you keep approving things or keep getting things like this forced or making these ridiculous decisions, you need to have a rating. And once you fall below a certain rating, you should be removed from the bench.
I have a constitutional amendment.
Yes.
If you are an appellate court and your court is overturned over 50% of the time, if you get it wrong over 50% of the time,
that's the 9th
then you are removed from office.
Yes.
The entire circuit.
Yes. I'm totally okay with that. Because when you get overturned that many times, what you're being told is that you're not following the law, you're interpreting it, or you're making it up as you go.
Yes.
And when something has a legal guideline that is set in stone and it has been approved by 4 courts but appealed up to you, and you look at the totality of it based on the appeal and all the other decisions that were made finalized, and you're like, nope.
Could you imagine judges would start making rulings based on law and solid constitutional principles?
Right.
I have no other reason to quantify this as this was a spanking.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was a spanking in public.
But it does lead up to a thing, right? Because now if the Ninth Circuit goes back to it...
I don't think the 9th Circuit gives a shit.
Right?
I don't
No. What I'm saying is this does bring us down the road of if the Ninth Circuit now all of a sudden makes a ruling on this in the future, and they turn around and now it gets kicked back to SCOTUS, right? It highlights why we need to have a constitutional amendment, as like you just said, to keep them checked and balances. The problem is they're using the Supreme Court as a check and balance, and the Supreme Court's supposed to be a verifier.
Yes.
Not a check and balance system. It's supposed to verify that.
Well,
yes,
the judicial branch is supposed to be a check on the other two, right?
Right.
But the Supreme Court is supposed to ensure that.
But when it comes to cases like this, the Supreme Court is just supposed to make sure that the lower courts either made the right decision,
right,
or did not.
Right.
And when they make a ruling like this and saying, no, this is pretty much...
This is how you should probably rule on this.
That should be enough for them to go, okay, well, we're not hearing any more cases about this because there is no reason to. Now, you can have the case on the first arrest warrant or the first refusal to allow in the country. But that is different because that's an individual versus the United States government filing. And then at that point, whatever they decide sets that precedence. I think when it comes
but if the law says you can do it, then I don't even think they have standing.
Well,
Tough shit.
But it shouldn't get up that far, right?
Right?
Because all the other courts should look at the ruling and go, no, they've already said this law is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this is when we get back to tort reform in this country and what a major change we need in our legal system to go back to what the legal system was supposed to be. Not this con law, ridiculous approach that these judges take where they're interpreting based on whatever they feel. It becomes an emotional interpretation.
That's the liberal argument, right? I have a better
It's fake law.
Yes.
It's fake law.
Yes, it is. I have a better instead of getting rid of the entire whatever court it is that's overturned over 50% of the time, you take a look at the decision, and if a particular judge is in the majority of opinion that's overturned over 50% of the time, those judges are removed.
Right.
So you could have a judge that goes back and forth, and maybe that judge is only part of in overturned decisions that are like 48% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
They get to stay. But if you get some jackass wingnut out there,
this state has them.
A lot of them.
Dude, there would be more opening for judges than there would be for fry cooks.
Get your black robe here.
We
Get
just,
your black robe.
we just need an entire new Ninth Circuit.
Right.
Like all of it just needs to be replaced.
Or make a law. Hey, you can't be overturned more than this percent of the time, or you're guilty of a federal misdemeanor and you can be impeached.
I'd like to point out two things, though. Number one,
Ooh.
Gorsuch.
Yes.
This now stems from that court. Can you imagine now? Everything before that was 5-4, 5-4, 4-5, 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
Match.
Gorsuch, and I said it before, I voted for Trump because I think that he would make some good appointments.
Yep,
he has, and already one appointment is making a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
Second point, there's this from CNBC. Congress has handed Trump a historic presidential victory. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley is giving President Trump yet another major victory on judicial nominations. None of that would have been possible without Harry Reid's decision to kill the filibuster.
Yep.
The result is that Trump is going to get to fill the most judicial federal vacancies
ever
in 40 years.
I thought it was ever, but
no,
I'll take 40 years.
In 40 years. That, again, that's unprecedented. So
it's precedented from 40 years ago. You can't say within 40 years and then say it's unprecedented.
Harry Reid, thank you very much for being stupid.
You're welcome.
And it's...
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Womp womp. It sounded like Law and Order right there. Dun dun
dun.
Which was appropriate, actually, given the topic.
Right.
So the judges, we're winning. We're winning.
Yeah.
He's getting to appoint these people.
Well,
I said it before, I'll say it again. Before his 4-year, his first term is up, he's going to get another appointment.
At least one.
He may get another besides that.
Right.
If you think the fight for Gorsuch was bad, the fight for the next one is going to be nuclear war.
Well, and we talked about this with Gorsuch at the beginning. This is why Gorsuch went first. This is why he went with somebody as conservative as Gorsuch, because the fight would be the next one. And you're going to get somebody probably not as middle of the road as Kennedy, but you're going to get somebody probably a little bit more left than Gorsuch, because there's going to be less argument for the Democrats to have. There's going to be less ammunition. Gorsuch is an extremely accurate constitutional right judge.
He's
very conservative.
Highly intelligent jurist.
Very, very good. He's excellent. I'm not insulting the man at all. But he put him through first knowing that the next one was going to be the big fight. And if you put somebody not as
And the
leftist,
nuclear option's already been... I mean, sorry, Dems. We talked about this before. You blew your wad on this one.
You did it.
This was not the one to fight, particularly when you confirmed him, what was it, like 99-0 or something like that in the Senate?
Yep.
Before, this was not the one to go to the mattresses for.
Okay, so... Yeah.
Right?
This is just amazing.
Yeah.
Actually. I do want to move on to the Colorado Baker, which I'll tell you right now.
If you happen to listen to some of these arguments, I think the Supreme Court has telegraphed
where they're going,
its potential thoughts on this. They were fun to read, and I listened to some of them. They were fun to listen to. They said that these arguments before that bench were some of the most animated that anyone has seen in years, and that there was more interaction between the jurists on the bench and the two attorneys than they'd seen in SCOTUS in quite some time.
Did they slam both sides? Did both sides get slammed?
In a way, but I was expecting... the interactions between the members to be pretty much one-sided. Oh, fuck no. It was not.
One-sided meaning what?
One-sided meaning that they're going to go for the
couple?
Against the Baker.
Right, for the couple.
Yes.
And it has not been that way.
It didn't go that way.
You know what's funny, too, is...
We'll talk about some of the comments, because I think it's important for those that didn't hear it. We were talking about it a little bit before the show during prep.
Right. The one that stuck out, and this was actually sent to me, like I said, I didn't have a chance to go through all of the arguments myself, but the one that was sent to me that stuck out, and Kennedy was cross-examining the gay couple's lawyer, and he said, hey, Kennedy gave up the court and said this, wait, where is it? I have it right here. Hold on. It said that the complainants aren't being very tolerant or respectful of the cake makers' religious rights. However, in return, they expect the cake makers to respect their rights. Why is that, counselor? Essentially saying, wait, you're asking this to be a two-way street. And it doesn't work that way. You can't have all the rights to protect you, but not respect those same rights when they're protecting somebody else.
Right.
And that's exactly what's going on here. And we've talked about it before with the LGBT community. There are certain wings of that community, not everybody in the LGBT community, but there are certain wings of that community who wants more rights than other people, in the sense of like, hey, no, we need that extra protection, but you don't get it because we're different.
Yeah.
And again, that's not the entire community, and I want to be clear on that. But there are definitely wings out there.
There is a segment in the community that does think that way. You have to be tolerant of us, but we don't have to be tolerant of you.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that Kennedy was saying.
Right.
This is not reciprocal.
Right.
One of the other points of the case that a lot of people did not realize or reveal or talk about is the Baker at the time. The Baker is known for he's an artiste, I guess you could say. He does artistic things to the cakes, but he said to the folks that were in his business, look, I've got tons of cakes. Go over there. You can buy any of those other cakes that I've already made over there. I just don't feel that I can honestly do this custom cake for you. But I'm not saying you can't buy any cake. There's all these other cakes that you can purchase if you want.
And if I'm not mistaken, he also said I can't put two grooms.
Yes.
On
but
top
I'll
of it.
give it to you.
If I'll give it. If you want to do that yourself, you can. But I can't put that on for you. So he wasn't refusing them business.
Right. And he also wasn't. He also was not saying to them that you can't be gay. Right. He wasn't even going after that. All he literally said is, I can't do this because of my religious values. I can give you the cake. I can give you the statues that go on top.
Yeah.
I will sell you any other cake that you want. Here you go.
What if a Christian walks into a baker for somebody who is Non-religious,
No.
secular, agnostic, whatever
You
it
know
is.
what? I'll tell you. Stephen Crowder did a segment about this in Detroit about Muslim bakers.
You get out of my head. I was just going to make that point to Clint.
Hey, no, that's why I bring this up, right? I wasn't going to say Muslim, but hey, make me a cake in the form of a cross and put "Happy Birthday, Jesus" or something.
Yeah,
they wouldn't do it.
Absolutely not. But here's the funny part is,
and put some bacon on the top.
But here's the aspect,
bacon cake.
The bass
Good
backwards
stuff.
part of that, if you would. That baker has the right to refuse to do it because of that.
Yes.
And everybody would be okay with that.
I would support that.
I would support it. Absolutely. And I wonder if this is going to tie in, because if you remember,
it's not a state bakery.
The whole baking, the whole aspect of this started out of a case in Oregon about 5 years ago, where the Oregon bakery had to go out of business. They had to pay the clients.
That's bullshit.
They were destroyed as a result of this. Destroyed.
Yep.
And now you're going to have this ruling, and I wonder if this is going to give credence to that, the owners of that bakery to come back and say, wait a minute, we have a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Because the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of what is the law.
Yeah, and constitutional. And
constitutional.
Give me my fucking money back.
Now, if this baker in Colorado had gone after them as individuals, like, hey, no, you need to get out of here, or I don't think you should exist, or you have a different argument. He still has the right to say all that, but he doesn't have, and he still has the right to refuse service. What I'm saying is, if he crossed into a criminal aspect of it, threw something at them for being gay or whatever, totally different argument. But that's not what is going on here.
Right. You can't tell me there were no other bakeries in that town that this couple could go to.
Even still, you focus on that one bakery. They were as accommodating as they possibly could be, and still respecting their religious values and not refusing them outright.
Correct.
And that's the point. The point is they want to make a point.
Yes.
When you could have voted with your feet.
Reagan.
Gone another block, found Joe the cake maker, who would have said, I don't care who the hell you are.
Go to frickin' Safeway or Piggly Wiggly or...
You want little pink scrolls on top? I'll do it. I can have it for you in 2 days.
Yes.
They would have found somebody. And while they were in that shop, the shopkeeper said, and there's these and these and these and these and these, and you can do whatever the hell you want with them.
So
when you take them home.
Did that come up in the arguments?
I haven't read all of the arguments.
Did they come up? Hey, you can't. Was there another cake maker? Did you try going to another cake? Did that argument come up?
No, I didn't hear that part. One of the things that Kennedy did say is, if you prevail, when he asked that Trump administration lawyer, and the guy, what was the guy's name? Jack Phillips.
Lawyer.
Jack Phillips is the baker who was involved in this, but there was the Trump admin lawyer who was presenting his case before SCOTUS. So Kennedy said, if you prevail, could the baker put a sign in his window saying, we do not bake cakes for gay weddings?
Yes.
And the response was, Your Honor, I think he would say he does not make custom-made wedding cakes for gay weddings, but most cakes. And then Kennedy interrupted and said, and you would not think that's an affront to the gay community. But see, like you said, though, Shaun, he said, Counselor, tolerance is essential in a free society, and tolerance is most meaningful when it's mutual. Mm-hmm. He says, it seems to me that the state, in its position here, has been neither tolerant nor respectful of Mr. Phillips' religious beliefs.
Yes. Well, and so you go into the aspect, like you said.
So it's not all one-sided from Kennedy. And gay rights, they're a big shindig with Anthony Kennedy.
Well, and you get into...
yeah, but in this case, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Shaun, to stop you here, but you're right. Typically, Kennedy would go the other way, no pun intended on that. But you're talking about individual religious liberty here, and I can see this being a 6-3 decision in favor of the baker.
I think that when you get down to the brass tacks, I agree with you. I think
you may see 7-2.
Yeah, because there's some parts of this I just don't think it's arguable.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be a 5-4 decision. I really don't.
And I want to get back to Kennedy's tolerance comments really, really quick for a second. Look, you can hang that sign and says, we're sorry, but we do not service same-sex couples with custom cakes. And that's not being intolerant, it's being informative. Intolerant, in my belief, would be a sign that says, gays go home, or down with gays, or I don't think gays should exist.
Yes.
That would be intolerant. Being informative, like, hey, we just don't want to have this problem. You don't have to service us, and that's fine. We get it. You have your right to live your life. I have the right to live mine. But I don't think that's being intolerant to hang a sign like that.
Look, I don't either. That's
bad business practice? Sure.
Yes, but that's like saying, hey, listen, you don't agree with my lifestyle as a Christian.
I don't agree with yours.
And I don't agree with yours.
Exactly. And again, folks can vote with their feet.
Yes.
You don't like that guy?
Walk away.
Go frequent, Joe the baker 1 block over that I just mentioned to, and he'll get all the gay weddings.
But this brings us back to living in a society where the law isn't good enough for people, and they always want to scream to mommy and daddy to fix us. It goes back to banks, right?
I think this
is the housing crisis, and all these people. Oh my God, we took these bad loans, and the banks were horrible to us. Well, wait a minute, you didn't have to go sign those loans.
And I think this is beyond that. I think that certain couples chose certain bakeries for the specific purpose of fucking with them.
Well, and if that's the case,
I really believe that, because why else would you go?
If that's the case, then this couple should be sued for slander, because
I agree,
because they have intentionally drug this baker, if you can
through
prove
the
it,
mud,
through the mud, and just potentially destroyed his name. Because even if he wins this, it doesn't mean that anyone in that community is now going to go to that bakery, just because of the stigma behind it.
I'd go to that bakery.
No, but what I'm saying is,
the gay people might not.
There are those people in the community who may turn around. I know we're up against a hard break, but I know people may turn around and look and say, "Oh, I don't want to be seen going in there now because of everything that went on with it." It could destroy his business.
It could, but even as a gay couple, right? A gay couple could go in and say, "Hey, you know what? You make delicious cake. Can you make me a blank cake in this fashion? And it's for a party." Yeah, don't fucking tell them it's for a wedding.
I bet dollars to donuts that there will be.
When we come back, I have an argument that I'd like to read that touches on what you just said, Clint.
Ooh, an argument that Clint touches?
Yes.
You can't prove anything. It was 15 years ago.
That's the reason that these things are not under the table. They can't see what's going on under the table. Now, I think that's a good thing.
That's a very good thing. What was that? Are we having audio problems tonight?
Me. I am.
What's that?
I am having it. That is bizarro, huh? There it is. Hey, I fixed it. We'll be back.
5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com. And maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch River Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
This is Jersey Joe, host of the Reverb Common Sense, and you're listening to SHRmedia.com. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. So, yeah.
We're here for the final 25 minutes.
And all those tech issues I own tonight. I figured out what it was just before we went to break, and I apologize.
I know what it's not. It's not the damn drop-down menu.
No, it's me. It was me that time. So here we go. 25 minutes left. We're going to clean up with SCOTUS really quick right here. Because I know BZ had a couple comments, if that's okay with everyone, and then we got to go into Jerusalem.
What do you mean? What do you mean if it's okay with everyone? It's our freaking show.
No, I meant okay with
it's got to be okay with us. Yeah, BZ,
are you okay with it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
How about Sean? Sean, you okay with it?
Yeah, hell
Fuck
yeah.
him. We're 2-1. 2-1.
Right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, 2-1. Okay. This is out of the Chicago Tribune. It said Justices Samuel Alito Jr. and Neil Gorsuch questioned whether the commission in the court that ruled against Phillips, that's the baker, might be biased. The commission didn't penalize several bakers who refused a request to make cakes displaying a message critical of same-sex marriage, Alito said. Here's a quote. "It's okay for a baker who supports same-sex marriage to refuse to create a cake with a message that is opposed to same-sex marriage," Alito said. But when the tables are turned and you have a baker who opposes same-sex marriage, that baker may be compelled to create a cake that expresses approval of same-sex marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yarger said bakers are required only to provide everyone with a product it had already made for someone else. The bakers would not create a cake with an anti-same-sex message for anyone, he said, while Phillips will make wedding cakes only for heterosexual couples. Both Roberts and Alito noted that at the time Phillips was penalized for refusing service to Craig and Mullins, Colorado did not allow same-sex marriage. So he said, if Craig and Mullins had gone to a state office and said, we want a marriage license, they would have not been accommodated, Alito said. Yet the state said it was a grave wrong for Phillips to not make him a cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
how can you argue with that?
I agree. I agree, Clint. I think this is going to be more than 6-2.
Here's my concern.
It won't be 5-4.
Yeah, 5-4.
So here's my concern. And here's where the Supreme Court can get weak. If the Supreme Court rules and says that the baker should not be penalized because at the time same-sex marriage was illegal in Colorado, and therefore, because the state didn't recognize same-sex marriage, the state cannot expect a private business to recognize same-sex marriage, that's a punt and that's weak.
It is.
And I hope that's not what Alito is setting up.
Because they could say, that was then, this is now.
Right, because they could say that was then, and now a new case is going to have to come all the way up through the fucking court system,
and
somebody else's life is going to get ruined and turned upside down.
Yep.
Because of this, the Supreme Court should get this right the first time, whichever way they're going to rule. They should get it right the first time and set the precedent for not just then, but for, hey, definitively a baker either has the right to, as a private business and private citizen that owns that private business, to engage in practices that do not violate their religious tenets, or say that they cannot do that, but not to punt it and say, well, then you couldn't do this, and now is just kind of up in the air.
You're going to love this. Here's a final comment. As an example, he gave an example of an African-American sculptor who could be asked to create a cross for a Ku Klux Klan service or a gay opera singer made to perform at the Westboro Baptist Church just because that opera singer would be willing to perform at the Washington National Cathedral.
No, I think that's sound. I really do.
Facts and evidence.
Right. At the end of the day, you're just relaying. And all he's doing. So here's why I think that they're going to go with the hard answer on this, because all he is doing, that's Alito, right? All Alito is doing is setting into the legal record
the absurd argument the other direction.
The argument the other direction. So when they come out.
It's almost like he listens to this show.
It's bizarre. It's just strange. And look, I hope they don't punt. I hope they actually make the right decision. And again, this decision doesn't protect an individual baker. It protects everybody from being forced into business that they don't want to enter in.
Because the principles are universal.
Right.
Look, if you have a gay bakery and a same-sex and a heterosexual couple comes in and says, we'd love you to bake us a cake, and that couple is known to the community, and that couple is known for whatever the views of, and that gay baker says, no, because I only support same-sex marriage. Okay. They have that right. A Muslim baker has a right to not bake a cross cake. A Christian baker has a right to not bake a freaking cake with a Quran on it.
Yes. You make that argument, and trust me, that issue will, sooner or later, it's going to come before the court.
Yeah.
And they best damn be consistent.
And I like the sculpture idea, right? Because can you imagine if you had a very, very left-leaning African-American black sculptor who
any black
sculptor, but I'm going to say very left-leaning, right? And somebody comes and says, hey, I want you to make me a statue of General Robert E. Lee.
Right. Well,
right. Look. You may
relative of a slave.
You may.
Right? I mean, you can.
You may find a black sculptor to say, yeah, I'll do that because history is history and it's not what your views are.
Art,
and art is art. And you may find somebody to say, absolutely not, because he fought for the side of that. But either way,
the state can't put a proverbial gun to that person's head and say, no, you will sculpt
absolutely
this.
Not. Absolutely not. That's like a Twilight Zone episode.
It is.
Right? It's like a fucking which episode was that? Do you remember? As the librarian, you've been deemed to be no longer needed or no longer a valuable member of society. Do you remember that episode? Yes. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It's kind of all. And
I probably have. I just don't remember it offhand.
It's almost like a la 1984, right? Because the state basically says we no longer have libraries. Your life is no longer of use to the state and the greater good as a librarian, and they sentence him to death. And I think the librarian was Mick from Rocky.
Get out of it. You're right.
Yes, right?
Oh, my God, yes.
I'm nailing it tonight.
Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith. The penguin.
Yes.
Yep. This is interesting. White Mamba in chat said, I think the district courts and appellate courts are so far out of line with their rulings and circumvention of the law in granting these injunctions that the U.S. Supreme Court will not have much of a choice but to set the record straight if they only hear one of these travel ban cases on the merits, if and only if they grant certiorari and there are no prudential barriers to making a ruling. Meaning, SCOTUS is going to slap these boys into place.
Yeah, and I think they have to.
And it's over damn due.
Well, and you know what? The last case that we were talking about prior to this really says a lot to me about even the liberals on the court understanding the fact. Listen, even if it's scaring them to be on the right side of history, right? Hey, look, we're going to lose this one. We know we're going to lose this one. I got to be on the right side of history here. I got to be on the right side of the legal aspect of this.
I don't think they care enough. I think a lot of these wackadoodle judges in some of the lower courts, particularly in the ninth, they know they're getting overturned.
I mean specifically
the
Supreme Court.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look at sanctuary cities, for example.
The obsolete
They don't
man.
give a philosophically, they don't give a fuck if people are killed just to make their point.
No, they don't.
To
Fucking
keep,
not guilty.
To keep their philosophy.
That's a San Francisco jury right there.
Right, because
it's a
that
San
wasn't
Francisco millennial jury.
Right, that wasn't based on facts. That was based on emotions and
feelings and politics.
Yes,
and that shows based upon what that fucktard defense attorney came out and said immediately afterwards.
Right.
Made a political statement about the Trump administration and racist policies and everything else.
Here's the amazing part: what did what did the feds do almost immediately?
Went and snatched his ass.
Filed federal gun charges and other charges against him criminally.
The likes of which his exposure is 10 years.
Yeah, but it's something
for that.
At least the feds did. But listen,
did they file any kind of murder charges on him?
Well, so here was my argument with this, and I understand why they can't. And we get to 2A, right, and it's a federal issue.
Mm-hmm.
You now have an illegal, which is a federal issue, committing a crime against a citizen. Why isn't that a federal crime?
It should be.
Right. That was my point on that.
That should be a federal issue.
It should be done on a federal level. That's no longer citizen on citizen, state, local level, right? But now you have essentially a resident of another country, an illegal alien in this country,
criminal alien,
committing an act of violence that took a person's life.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that every theft should be on the federal level. We can have that argument about burdening the court, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However,
and look, I'm just going to ask the question. Was this person acting on behalf of the Mexican government, and is this an act of war? Look, I'm just throwing it out there, folks. I'm no conspiracy theorist here.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Yes, the obsolete man, by the way, that was the Twilight Zone episode.
Okay, I will attempt to remember that.
Burgess Meredith, he was in 4 episodes.
I remember Burgess Meredith. Hey, question for you guys. I think the DA overcharged on this. So the question to you guys is, did he overcharge because he's incompetent? Or did he overcharge because he knew under a San Francisco jury what he's going to get?
I think he overcharged because he knew what he was going to get. I think he expected an involuntary manslaughter conviction.
Yeah.
I think he expected an involuntary manslaughter and a gun charge conviction.
I think this prosecutor actually was in the right place here. I think he knew. I think he was out ahead of the trying to be out ahead of the millennials. Look, if I go this high, then if I set this as the low bar, they're going to find the facts that he did it, so they're going to go to the low bar with it, and at least it's some sort of something.
Right.
I don't think he was expecting a not guilty. I just don't see. And listen,
I don't think anybody was expecting a not guilty.
Yeah.
A felon, asshole, fucking deported. How many? But
still, the judge was clearly indicative of what happened. It revolved around. Now, this is a P-239 that the BLM agent lost out of his automobile. Having been a range master, I can tell you the trigger pull on a P-239 in double action mode is anywhere from 10 to 11 pounds. In single action mode, it's about 4.5 pounds to 5 pounds, right around in there. So the jury said, we'd like to handle that. We'd like to see what so they have inquisitive minds, and the judge said, no, you're not touching evidence. Yeah. To me, that's a massive, massive prejudice when you're not going to allow a jury to thoroughly examine a critical piece of evidence, because dry firing that gun isn't going to make a fuck of a difference to the gun.
Yep. Exactly.
Right.
What are you going to do? Print the fucking gun after the fact? No. No, you're not. But although I will play devil's advocate on this, and here's how I'm going to play devil's advocate on this, BZ. I
need to get you a set of horns, so whenever you play devil's advocate, I can have you put them on. Go ahead.
I'll get some.
Yes. Amazon. So here's my devil's advocate.
It's evil, Clint.
So murder one cases in the state of California are life imprisonment or death penalty. San Francisco, there's no fucking way they do death penalty. So it'd be an LWOP. It'd be an LWOP case, right?
Kamala Harris refused to do it for the cop that was killed.
Yes, they did it. So and fucking Jerry Brown, when he was AG, said if they refuse to do it, then we'll take it and do it. And he never did. Fuck that guy too. So anyways, you had at the Peace Officers Memorial, he fucking stood up and said that bullshit. So. You have murder one or LWOP, right? Which is what was charged, life without parole.
Right.
Evidence retention on either of those cases is
forever.
Forever. So I can almost see a judge knowing the potential for evidence retention in the appellate process for an LWOP case or a death penalty case when that's the punishment prescribed by that, not allowing the jury to fuck with the evidence. I think it was the wrong call in this case because you have a jury of millennials who probably have never handled a gun and have no idea what it takes to consciously pull the trigger.
They haven't been within 10 feet of one.
Right. But given the fact that evidence retention on what this guy potentially could have gotten on LWOP or capital case, well, it was a capital case. They just weren't going to go that way on the penalty phase. Then I think I can understand how he may want to make that decision to not give the appellate court process reason to fuck with the conviction or overturn the conviction because the evidence was tampered with by 12 people that have no idea how to work a gun. So that's my devil's advocate perspective on that.
Well, and we could sit here and have the legal argument all night. We have 11 minutes left. And we have a couple...
I like how BZ thought, though. Played with his beard thoughtfully.
That's the only way you can do it.
10 minutes left now. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, recognized by the United States government, obviously.
Yeah, like the U.S. government was walking by and they were like, whoa, hey, Jerusalem!
Well, and to want to put an embassy there, this has always been highly contested with, obviously, the location of Jerusalem, Israel claiming it as their capital, pretty much everyone else in the Middle East saying it wasn't.
It was passed by law that we were going to move our capital, and then every
1995, and all the rest of the presidents. Oh, we're gonna do that. Sure, we will.
Yeah, we're gonna
bullshit alert.
But we're going to wait. But they've been able to kick it down the road,
right? And there's no more kicking,
right? Well, Trump's still going to kick it down the road another 6 months, but he's saying that's the capital, and that's what we're going to put our embassy.
And it's going to take them 4 years to build it. Blah blah blah.
And now those same fucking crazy people that voted for it, like Frankenstein.
And Pelosi. It was fine for Pelosi 8 years ago.
But now they're writing a letter to Trump saying, oh, God, don't do that.
Let's look at the historical significance of this, though.
Of Jerusalem?
Well, of Trump.
Well, people are trying to say that it shouldn't be in Jerusalem. The fucking Knesset is in Jerusalem.
But let's be realistic. Not only does this say a lot about our relationship with Israel, especially this administration, right? Compared to the last administration. Hey, we're right here for you. We believe in you. But what does this also say to Iran and Hezbollah and all the... Look, we're not fucking around.
Yeah.
We don't care. I think that part of this, the political aspect of this, or the geopolitical aspect of it, is Trump saying, with everything that's going on with North Korea, Trump saying to Iran, look...
We haven't forgotten about you.
We're not playing these games with you in a couple years. We're doing this.
Yep.
What's your bluff?
I think Trump was saying, listen, I know it's Christmas time, but we're not playing your reindeer games.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
So you see what he? I saw what he did.
I think it's huge. I think it's huge news.
I have a concern that the next president coming in, next Democrat coming in, is going to move back. And quite frankly, who the fuck are we to tell another country where their capital is?
But for us to recognize...
Who are we?
No. But what I'm saying is for us to support, because it's so highly contested with the UN, it's been this international thing.
Who gives a shit?
Right.
What if China says, you know what, we recognize Des Moines, Iowa as your capital now. We're going to put our embassy there.
It's a little bit different when we do it with Israel, because that is in that region with everything that's going on in that specific stretch of land, what the implications of recognizing that could actually do.
It is. But should it be that way?
No, it shouldn't be that way, but a lot of things shouldn't be that way.
Exactly.
So we've talked about 2A earlier. We shouldn't have needed that law, but it's getting passed. But that's
the fucked up world we live in.
Right. The shit's already out of that bowl. And we know that. So it's a matter of correcting.
Who shits in a bowl? What is wrong with
the toilet?
How does your
bowl.
brain even
the
work?
Bowl.
That's pretty...
That was bad.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird. Even for Sean.
That's kind of creepy.
I'm a little troubled by that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
It's disturbing.
That's very,
it's
very
creepy
disturbing.
And disturbing.
Like at this point in the show, you'd kind of know that not to take this downhill, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're on the cusp of ending it. Here's another interesting point.
Hi,
U.S.
folks.
House.
I just want to talk to you for a minute. Here
U.S. House passes bill to slash the Palestinian Authority's funds over terrorist stipends. They passed that, too. The Palestinian Authority pays terrorists when their little loved ones get killed in a terror act, and they recently passed this in the House saying, you know what? If you don't rescind that, we're cutting all of our funding off to you.
We should cut off.
Finally.
Palestine doesn't exist.
Right. The fact
Palestine never existed.
So why are we funding them?
The fact that we're funding Palestine alone is the problem.
Yes, thank you.
This
is my point.
I don't know how else to. There's no argument after that.
Their delegation in the UN. How many people is that? Oh fuck, 0.
Let me count on both hands. Right.
I think. Right.
So I think that's major. Look, couple minutes left. We have NOCO.
This would never have happened under Obama.
So you know,
God no.
So hang on a second. Right. NOCO. How fucking embarrassing is it that we're supposed to fly 2 B-1Bs
and one of them has to break
and
off.
one of them has to one of them doesn't even take off because there's problems.
Right.
Because thank you 8 years of Obama. Our freaking air fleet is decimated.
They're scavengers. They're scavengers now.
Yes. Thank you very much, President Obama.
Well, and here's the funny part is, you know, I have this argument with a couple of friends of mine who are like, hey, look, the reason we don't need as much military money is because we have these airplanes that can reach all over the world in a matter of hours. Why don't we just focus on that? Because this is exactly why.
Yes.
Because everything was cut all the way around.
Yes.
Right? And the other expectation is you're expecting, it's just ridiculous. Look, we have the Navy and the Marines screaming about the F-18s not getting the money they need. They're literally cannibalizing on ships in order to have them take off and land.
Numerically speaking, what is the greatest number of bombers in the U.S. Air Force inventory?
Numerically speaking?
Yeah.
Straight bombers, not fighter bombers?
Yeah, just straight bombers.
Straight out bombers?
Yeah.
I would say the number is probably around 35 to 40.
Oh, no. What is it? It's the B-52.
Oh.
It's an aircraft that's 60 fucking years old.
But the B-1B is a straightforward bomber, too.
Yes, it is. And so is the B-2.
But my point is the greatest number of bombers is the oldest aircraft in the entire damn arsenal.
To be fair, it's a badass fucking airplane.
No, it is, but
the
point
is built marvelously.
And the Russians, the primary bomber for the Russians is the Tu-95,
right?
Which is also really fucking old.
Yeah, well, the one with the ancient counter-rotating props, for God's sake.
But that B-52 is... Listen, I remember reading a history book. What was it called? Oh, yeah, Flight of the Old Dog, where...
5 minutes. Come on.
For those of you that have... It's a Dale Brown novel.
Dale Brown, yep.
So you've read it.
I met him.
Right? Badass book. Great book. But yeah, and that B-52 is going to continue to be in service, projected for another 15 years? Or something
they're going
like
to keep it until about 2030, 2035. You're pushing 75 years for an airframe.
Yes.
Well, and that's the scariest part.
That's never happened, ever.
No.
In the history of the planet.
Well, that's not true, because we talked about Dunkirk earlier, where there's still some Spitfires flying.
Yeah, but...
Right. Good point, yeah. They're in the Air Force, right? They're in the inventory.
On inventory. Well, hey, look, we have a naval ship that's been around for a couple hundred years, so why not an airframe?
So, but let's go back to the crux of this conversation, which was... As a result, we were supposed to have the flyover. One of the B-1Bs had to pull off and not make the flight. They flew an individual. Look, when you're going through sanctions,
one guy,
and potential use of force to try to show strength, and you can't do it appropriately, that's not good.
Yeah. Only one.
Well, what does that harken back to? What does that make you think? That reminds me of Desert One in 1980. When we couldn't even set aircraft down to try to attempt to rescue our hostages because we couldn't assemble aircraft. We didn't know that, do you think that sand may clog up all the crap in these Sikorskys? Yeah, that's called a clue. You need to plan for that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was embarrassing. And look, I think that every day that we don't take action of some kind against some meaningful action. Look, you know what I love hearing, actually I hate hearing, we're imposing more sanctions.
Yeah.
We're imposing more sanctions. If you have the ability to impose more sanctions, then you are clearly not fucking doing everything you could from a non-military perspective.
Have you guys heard of ghost ships?
Yes, bodies washing up on the South Korean peninsula in ships.
Yes.
Just dead bodies.
Yeah, skeletons
Yes.
occasionally. People that have suffered so much malnutrition that they have turned to like desiccated skeletons in these boats, and they're washing up on South Korean shores.
Yep.
That's the status of North Korea right now.
Right,
Yes.
but yet they're still going forward with their nuclear program. It tells you how important it is to them.
Look, the last launch, it flew higher than any other previous launch.
Yes.
It tells you so much about it that we need to actually...
and it splashed in Japanese waters.
And look at, you had Lindsey Graham come out this week and say, hey, I don't understand why we're not moving families of American soldiers
All the
in
dependents.
Korea
Yes.
out right now.
Yep. And why are the environmentalists not getting involved in this?
What?
The North Koreans have fucking almost collapsed a mountain. They've been radiological released because of tunnel collapse.
Because
their fucking missiles are landing in the ocean.
Because the reality is that they hold 0, 0, 0 strength whatsoever. It's a fallacy to even joke about them right now, right? At the end of the day, the environmentalists are nothing but fucking windbags.
Sean, question for you.
We're talking about legit potential nuclear war. Yes, sir.
Russia?
Yes.
Oil?
Yes.
North Korea?
So Russia is, and I know I get about 30 seconds, so Russia is not only selling oil to North Korea, but the price is going down, which is only emboldening North Korea and making them stronger.
Right, there you go.
What do you need to fight a war?
Oil.
Oil.
What'd the Japanese attack us over?
Oil.
And steel.
And steel.
And steel.
Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show. It has been the 6th of December, 2017, right here from the SHR Media Studios, the international headquarters, if you will, and if you won't, I don't give a shit. It's still where we are. We'll be back next Wednesday, right here at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Of course, tomorrow night you have the Belovian and Zeppelin right at 8 p.m. 11
Going to have Tammy Jackson on. She's going to talk about the 47 dead bodies of the Clintons.
47 dead bodies of the Clintons.
Nice.
Always a good one. Always a good one. Maybe 48. You never even know, right? We've talked about that before. Also, got a message from Jersey Joe tonight. He is trying to have a workaround until he figures out what's going on with Comcast. Hopefully, he will be back this week. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We will see you next Wednesday right here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Late night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell.